Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us today in seminar number 2 of our exciting seminar series for the year. I'm Dr. Carlos Bosques, CEO of the Food Allergy Science Initiative, or FASI for short. At FASI, our focus is to understand, translate, and intervene with food allergies. And as a leader in food allergy research, FASI is dedicated to advancing breakthrough discoveries to transform the lives of so many people living with food allergies. I'm excited to welcome you today to our seminar. We're hosting today Dr. Sarina Tanimoto from ARS Pharma to discuss about the new epinephrine spray product recently approved. Before we move on, I wanted to take a moment to thank ARS Pharmaceuticals for the kind sponsorship for this specific seminar. As many of you know, while food allergies impact millions of people across the world, understanding the disease and the availability of effective treatments remain a significant limitation. And this year, we have prepared an exciting seminar series titled The Allergy Equation: Clinical Trials Shaping the Future. During this series, we aim to explore the latest advancements in clinical trials and therapeutic development efforts impacting the future of food allergy management. We have put together an exciting lineup of speakers, and throughout the seminar series, we're joined by experts as they discuss the emerging therapies and examine the challenges and success of clinical trials, recent clinical trials. Whether you're a patient, a researcher, a parent, or just curious about learning about food allergies, we hope this seminar series provide helpful information to all of you. Before I begin, I would like to clarify that FASI is a science-driven, evidence-based organization, and therefore, throughout this series, our intent is not to promote any products or any companies, but instead to inform our audience in recent clinical development and in the recent clinical development efforts in food allergies, and also to have the opportunity to ask questions to better understand the benefits and the challenges of the different emerging options. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by Dr. Sarina Tanimoto, who's a co-founder and chief medical officer at ARS Pharma. Dr. Tanimoto served as the CMO at ARS since 2018, and she has previously served also as Chief Medical Officer of Pacific Link Regulatory Consulting, a medical product development consultancy where she supported multiple programs from phase 1 to phase 3 clinical development in various therapeutic areas, specifically including several intranasal spray products. Tanimoto earned her MD from University of Toyama, followed by internal medicine training at the National Center for Global Health and Medicine in Tokyo, and she holds an MBA as well from McGill University. Today, Dr. Tanimoto will discuss the development of the first approved epinephrine spray, NEFFY, which is manufactured by ARS Pharma, and I want to thank again ARS Pharmaceuticals for sponsoring this webinar. Before we start, I want to remind our audience that we will take questions in the Q&A from the Q&A box, and we'll discuss them at the end of this seminar. Sarina, it is a pleasure and an honor to talk to you, to have you here at FASI with us today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Carlos. And then thank you, FASI, for giving me the opportunity to discuss about NEFFY and meet your people. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks to you. Thanks to you. It's really a pleasure. Sarina, before we get into details, I always like our speakers, I like the audience to get to know the speakers. So would love to learn a little bit, if you can share a little bit more about you and ARS Pharma, it would be fantastic.
Sure. As you kindly introduced my background, I graduated medical school in Japan long time ago. And after a few years of practice, I joined a pharmaceutical company where I was involved in clinical development in Japan and US. around 2010, my partner, he's a CEO of ARS now, and I started a consulting company where we helped pharmaceutical companies, but including the companies developed and get approval for nasal spray. So we thought we know how to develop nasal spray, and that was the motivation we started this company. As you know, NEFFY is based on 3 components: epinephrine, sprayer, and intravel. The companies we helped used nasal spray like this, and also intravel, which is absorption enhancer. So, and then why don't we do this combination with epinephrine? That was our motivation to start the company, 2015, 10 years ago. We thought it was quicker because we knew how to develop drug, but it took 10 years.
Fantastic. Sorry, I know
Nothing easy.
big unmet need. No, please go ahead. Sorry.
No problem. Please ask any questions. So we founded the company 2015, 10 years ago. We are based in San Diego. We are traded in as SPRY spray in Nasdaq. We got approval of NEFFY 1 and 2 milligram from FDA 2024, and also from EMA 2 milligram. 1 milligram is pending. We got approval recently from MHRA, which is United Kingdom, and also from Japan. All happened at once. That's ARS.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that, Sarina. And I'm glad that you guys took this on. Big question, right? There's for at least in the United States, there's been emergency therapies for food allergies for some time. Epinephrine, EpiPen, AVQ, for example. What was the main problem that you and ARS saw that you wanted to solve to start this journey? I know you showed the approval, but if you can go back to that moment where you and your partners at ARS said, we got to solve this, what was the main problem that you were trying to solve? If you can tell us a little bit about that, it would be great.
Sure. So it's always easier to show slide 2. So it's been reported that if you delay the administration of epinephrine for severe allergic reaction, including anaphylaxis, there may be more repeat epinephrine doses, more hospitalization, or stay longer, or biphasic reaction. But so people know that you shouldn't delay and use epinephrine when you have the sign of symptoms of severe allergic reaction or anaphylaxis. However, people tend to delay. Some of the reason is needle. So that is our motivation to develop nasal-free epinephrine. And then at the same time, it's not just needle-free. In order to use epinephrine, you have to carry all the time. In that sense, it should be smaller and should be easy to use. So we believe that the NEFFY can address those issues, and then so that people can carry all the time and use as needed.
That is great, Sarina. It's very interesting. Your initial journey was really addressing something very specific and people not really reacting quickly or using the injection fast enough. And so your solution being a nasal spray to address that and something easy to carry and facilitating that prompt response from the patient. So great to hear that. So congratulations to you and ARS. NEFFY was approved recently in August 2024. And I've seen some of the data, but it would be great if you could share some of the most important data and information from the clinical trials that led to the approval of NEFFY. And if you can also address, I know some of the big questions that I always hear from patients and parents and people are, does it work the same way? And does it have the same exposure? The amount of epinephrine that needs to be delivered at a specific point in time and during the time that it's needed, as it is for EpiPen and Auvi-Q.
Thank you, Carlos, for the question. I think this is very important for us, and then I really appreciate this opportunity to share how we develop and then the data, so you can see how we develop, and then also if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. So based on our real experience as a consulting company, consultant, we experience multiple nasal drug. Then the development pathway is to compare the amount level of drug in the body against the drug already exists, approved drugs, so which is called pharmacokinetics. So we want to compare the level of drug against the one that's already approved. And if it's similar, drug should work similar. And at the same time, we want to do a little bit more, meaning how body react to that drug, the level of drug. And in our case, epinephrine's case, it's blood pressure and heart rate. We want to measure that level of epinephrine is similar to the injection products. And also blood pressure and heart rate reaction, the level increase is similar to injection products. So that was the theme, that was the objective of our clinical development and clinical studies. So then, what product out there? So that's the first thing that we need to explore. So those are the injection products, auto injectors, and first manual intramuscular injection, which is using needle and syringe. That is the basis for the approval of all auto injector products such as EpiPen and Auvi-Q, because they didn't. EpiPen's approval was 1987 without any studies, because people assumed, because this is intramuscular injection, it should be the same. So that was intramuscular injection is the basis for approval. Auvi-Q conducted one study, showed similar to, the PK is from the level of blood is similar to EpiPen. So all that's all, and then they have been used interchangeably because nobody see any differences in efficacy or safety. So when your doctor prescribe EpiPen, you may get Auvi-Q because they are being dispensed interchangeably. So that's really the real world practice, clinical practice out there. Then, so but there are multiple drugs, and our question was which one we should compare with. When we started our program, we realized it's not that straightforward because there is no clinical data, and we are one of the first one who started these studies. And when we realized these are, so the y-axis is the level of epinephrine, how much you have epinephrine in the body over time. And IM is the using needle and syringe. So this is the gold standard and the basis for the approval of all injection products. And you can see there's around maybe 200 here, but each study shows slightly different, but almost similar. And then we try to check auto injector, including EpiPen. But EpiPen's case sometimes high, sometimes low, and it's very variable. Which one we should compare with, considering that all those injection products works the same because it's being used interchangeably. We asked all KOLs, all doctors, have you seen any differences among those injection products? Nobody said yes, there's no differences. That's why they use, in the clinic, they use sometimes EpiPen, sometimes IM, needle and syringe, sometimes RBQ, depending on the resource and the cost. So when we look at this, what should we do? And my partner proposed to FDA that why don't we in between? Because all those products works the same. And we just try to be in between in terms of consent level of epinephrine. So we shouldn't go beyond EpiPen, but we shouldn't go below IM, or even, but EpiPen is sometimes high and low, so it doesn't matter, right? So that was agreed with FDA, and that was the objective of the clinical development. This is one of our pivotal study. This is already also published in JCI journal, Allergy journal. So again, this is a level of epinephrine over time, and EpiPen is blue, IM is orange, and NEFFY in green, nicely in between. This is what we wanted. We didn't want to go over EpiPen. We didn't want to go below IM. We just wanted to be in between because they work the same. The reason why they work the same is probably the most important thing is early exposure. As long as there's earlier exposure, sufficient exposure, which means that, sorry, I'm going back, I'm trying to go back. Similar exposure, as good as similar exposure as IM should be sufficient. This was discussed heavily during the FDA advisory committee. I think it was 2023 May. There's a YouTube in FDA website. You can see that all discussion. The YouTube is like 9 hours, but that kind of thing has been really discussed with 20 experts in this area, and then so that's a single dose. And also, if they wanted us to check the second dose, repeat dose, because if the symptom didn't work, didn't improve or worsen, then you should use the second dose. So they wanted us to check the second dose, which is the first time. No other epinephrine drug have ever been asked to do. So we are the one who did all of this first time. That's part of the reason why it took time to develop more than we thought. For second dose, actually, NEFFY goes in the level of epinephrine following NEFFY is actually higher than EpiPen, but which was accepted because second dose you want to have sufficient, you have enough epinephrine exposure, because if you need second dose, you may not have, your symptom may be a little severe than the one that resolved with just single dose. So this was accepted, and actually this is accepted, and it may be a good thing that it's comparable or greater than EpiPen, but still safe enough. So that was epinephrine concentration in the body. Then how about the reaction from the body? The reaction from the body is blood pressure and heart rate, because epinephrine increases the heart rate and blood pressure. When you see something danger, then your heartbeat increase, that increased blood pressure, that partially because of the increase of epinephrine. So epinephrine should increase those, and we measure that. So this is a change from baseline, meaning the difference after NEFFY was dosed, or epinephrine was dosed, and over time. So blue is EpiPen, yellow is IM, manual IM, and NEFFY is green. It's at first it's in between and nicely increased after that, and for the single dose. And for the repeat dose, as was seen in the level of epinephrine, the response from the body is greater than EpiPen. That is consistent with the level of epinephrine. So these are the data basis for approval by FDA. We conducted more than 20 studies, and these are the key results. But FDA agreed that NEFFY should work as good as auto injectors. And then actually, if you look at the FDA's press release, it says NEFFY may meet the unmet need for people who are afraid of needle. But after that, this is PKP. And then obviously people ask, how about symptoms? If the epinephrine can increase blood pressure and heart rate, it's because due to the activation of adrenergic receptor. Activation of adrenergic receptor is the reason why symptoms get relieved. But people want to see, how about symptoms? So we conducted a patient study. We use NEFFY when people have allergic reaction, anaphylaxis symptoms after oral food challenge, and dose NEFFY 1 or 2 milligram. And this is the grade after oral food challenge and before NEFFY, and over time. And NEFFY in 1 and 2 milligram nicely decrease the grade of symptoms, which is similar to what you would see from intramuscular injection. And then still we wanted to I think that's bridge that a significant amount of data we have based on pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic, and then bridge that to the symptoms. But we still wanted to collect data for people so that people feel better and comfortable using NEFFY. So another effort is to collect data from physicians who have used NEFFY in their clinic. We provide NEFFY for free so that to the clinic where they may use epinephrine after oral food challenge or immunotherapy, and ask them how NEFFY performed. This study was the 301 HC doctors responded that made 545 patients. And we asked how many patients were treated just one dose, meaning how many patients required second dose. I mean, resolving with second dose is not an issue, but we just wanted to compare against injection products so that people can see how NEFFY performs in the real world, in the real clinic, with real patients. And then second dose was required around 10%, and which was very similar to historical control, which is published in a journal, allergic journal. So as you can see, it's very similar, and it looks like the prescriber physician feels better. This is a big number of a patient based on the patient data. Yep. So those are the result, and then also the efficacy data.
Thank you, Sarina. It's good to see that last data set of comparison of not only pharmacokinetics, but also the physician's need to evaluate a second dose versus a single dose and see comparable results. Limitations for NEFFY. A lot of the questions that come up is what would be the kind of limitations that we could expect from NEFFY, especially when there may be some nasal obstruction like nasal polyps. Can you share a little bit more about any potential limitations from NEFFY and the fact that the product is approved as a single-use spray. And as we know, some people may require more than one spray. So can you tell us a little bit more about the limitations?
Sure. Yeah. So in your package insert, so the explanation how to prescribe, there they said that you need to discuss with your prescriber when you have polyp or deviated or injured in the nose in the past. That is because we didn't include those patients in our clinical studies, and FDA has to say that if we didn't do a study in the trial. But sorry, share. So bottom line, you should discuss with the doctor. But first thing that blockage can be different things, the multiple things. Blockage may be really blocked by something like a deviation, a big polyp that even you cannot insert the sprayer into the nose. That's a physical blockage, and then in that case it may be difficult for NEFFY to be used. But as long as there is a passage to the nose here, right? Because polyp many times polyp in here, if it's in polyp in here covered by mucosa, there's no reason why epinephrine is not absorbed, because epinephrine is absorbed through nasal mucosa, where nasal mucosa has lots of vessel there, and then that's the area where a drug is absorbed. And then if you look at this, how far the drug can be reached, it's plumb really far if you think about the distance to the area where the drug is absorbed. It can reach really far. So the drug should be delivered as long as there's a passage here. Now, when you say blockage, some people say it means it's a stuffy nose. The stuffy nose is, you feel stuffy nose because there's some swollen here, not in the passage. So if there's a swollen here, meaning like congestion, that makes you feel that stuffy nose, we particularly studied about it. That's what FDA asked us. This division is particular about this. No other division, FDA division asked, but they asked those things. Very particular. They are very thoroughly think about how to develop nasal spray. So we conducted the study where we induce allergic rhinitis with congestion, and studied how NEFFY can be, and how epinephrine is absorbed. Actually, when you have congestion, stuffy nose, the drug epinephrine is absorbed more. Most likely because the permeability is increased because of the allergic reaction. Therefore, even if you have blockage, if the blockage is a stuffy nose, swollen in the terminate, NEFFY should work as you expect. But bottom line is that we recommend that you discuss with your prescriber about your nasal condition, if it appropriate or not. And then in terms of the question about second dose, so NEFFY is provided as like in one package with two sprayer. Once you don't need to do any prime. You just need to use once, and if you use once, then the drug is gone. So you need to throw away. If you need second dose, you have the second dose. But this is the same as injection products. Injection products also recommend second dose if the symptom didn't improve or get worse. So the instruction is the same. It's just the device is different. I think I hope this answered your question, Carlos.
Yes, no, this is fantastic, Sarina. We've been getting a lot of questions along the way. So I have more questions, but why don't I stop that? Because I think the most important part of this discussion is for people to give them the opportunity to ask questions. So before we get into the Q&A session, people always ask us how can they help donate. Please see the QR code here. Donations is what make these seminars possible and the work that we do possible. Host an event. We'd love to get people to host event. Follow us in social media and continue to join our next seminar. In fact, our next seminar will be on January 13, and it's going to be an exciting seminar by Dr. Edwin Kim from UNC School of Medicine, and he's going to be comparing oral immunotherapy versus EPID, a patch or a pill. So stay tuned for that one. Join us on January 13. So Sarina, thank you so much for that presentation. Fantastic. A lot of good information for our audience. And I know that NEFFY is a uh, point of a lot of questions for a lot of patients and parents. So I have a few questions here, and I'll try to filter them for you so that we can talk. It's important to get to the details and the challenges. One of the things, Sarina, I saw that you had uh, some of the graphs, but maybe we were not seeing the entire picture, show that the time to get to the Cmax, the maximal concentration in circulation, was slightly different from EpiPen and versus NEFFY. I like the fact that you showed the data afterwards saying that clinical study where comparing the number of doses needed, it showed that the first dose was sufficient, very similar to EpiPen. But are there any other data in terms of the symptoms and the control management of the anaphylaxis by NEFFY in comparison to EpiPen, or is that something that you're doing post-marketing surveillance? Can you tell us a little bit more about that, not only in terms of the many doses that are needed, but is it active? Is it effective? Is it as effective?
Right, yeah. So we are trying to collect data and then we present as we obtain. But one of the requirements from FDA is to conduct a post-marketing study where we compare an NEFFY and IM, manual IM. Manual IM is the basis for the approval of all auto injectors, and that's ongoing. It's a little slower because it's still starting the studies normally takes a little bit of time, but it's ongoing. But we cannot wait for that, and then that's one of the reasons why we do survey with patient, and then also we are presenting further update in the meeting. Actually, this week there's a college meeting in Orlando. We're gonna present update like very I cannot tell much detail because there's not still embargo, but we will present that data. That's something that we are trying to do to help people feel more comfortable.
Thank you. Yes, that's important. It's really key. These are emergency therapies, so you want to make sure that the user is going to be as protected.
Right, and then and then also we collect case reports. There are five HCPs, healthcare providers, present at the college meeting this week. Total 29 patients, and then they will describe the clinical course in detail there as well.
Okay. One question here from Monica. Hello, dentist here. Have you tried to test NEFFY orally toward the throat in case nasal obstruction? That's something
No,
that has ever been
not
considered?
it's not the indication, and then we haven't tried. Yeah, so again, nasal obstruction really, I would really suggest discussing with your prescriber, because when you say blockage, most of the time stuffy nose. Because if you have blockage really here in the nose, you may no, leave it as it is, right? So because it's hard to breathe, but you may want to really discuss what the blockage means, and then if it's swollen in the turbinate or in the father nose, then may not be real blockage. But anyway, so we haven't. This is only nasal spray, nasal use.
Understood. Understood. Good question here. And it's not only about the epinephrine, it's also about the device. In terms of the device, what is the rate of failure of the device and the spring mechanism? And how does that compare to auto injectors?
So there is no springs mechanism. The spring mechanism make it a little difficult, right? It's complicated. So that's why we used to hear some failure. But this nasal spray, we use a nasal spray similar to Narcan, where they studied the failure rate is around 0.00001, something like that, very low. And then actually recently FDA issued guideline about the medical device regarding how much you can, what's acceptance of failure. And then NEFFY's mechanism, NEFFY studied, and then that NEFFY met that criteria. That criteria is very high. Right, like, sorry, I cannot remember the exact number, but it's really low point. It has to be 0.00001 or something like that. For auto injection, it's a bit difficult to meet that criteria because of the complication of the device. So we don't have the exact data, but there's some publications.
Okay, that'll be good. I actually related to that question. Some people are asking if you would be okay sharing your email so that they can send you some questions. So if that's okay, let us know so that we can share your email with
Yes, of
people
course.
that way. Okay, so thank you for that. We can share that information. Um, One question here about from Jimena, the multiple dosing, especially when you're thinking about babies. So it is approved as a single spray unit. But are there any limitations or any specific guidance on multiple uses, more than two? As you're considering, this is an emergency therapy. People are in an emergency state if they need to do multiple doses, especially on babies. What are the guidelines for that?
So the guidance is the same as the injection products. If you need a second, I think there's a practice parameter, and then also recently there's action plan published. The consideration for second dose is the same as injection products. It's slightly different. We studied the differences. NEFFY's package insert, practice parameter, and then also action plan, slightly different about the second dose, but at least NEFFY's prescribing package insert says use the first dose, and then if it didn't work or go right, not getting improvement or worsening, then consider the second dose in 5 minutes. And then if it does, then in terms of the emergency room visit, you need to discuss with your prescriber. And then for others, it's similar, but I think the bottom line is if use the first dose, and you must have the second dose ready in case you need to use, regardless of device. You're mute, Carlos.
Sorry. I see a few converging questions here. Some people have had, like Claudia had, some of the challenges in the approval, getting the prescription for it, being at the doctor and not being approved for a prescription. They needed to go to the EpiPen. What is ARS doing now to get more physicians comfortable prescribing NEFFY?
So is this a question about comfortable or system, access system?
Well, I guess it's system because it seems like the prescription for this medication failed. The doctor was
Right.
reluctant, and
Yeah,
yeah.
right, because it's still, we are still trying to expand the coverage, and depending on your insurance, sometimes doctor needs to write extra letter to get approval. We are very working hard to get over this. And then also, I think it's also explained in our commercial. We have lots of commercial. We provide a free consultant, and then also that system will take care of the prescription and dispense as much as they can. So if you can go to NEFFY.com, and then the new campaign called Get NEFFY on Us. If you could explore that, that system should help. Or if you send me email, I will forward that email to the appropriate person, so they will help you to get NEFFY.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Sarina. Average cost of the device, a question from Patty here. What is the average cost people should expect for this device?
So this is it's really depend on your insurance. It could be as zero, the lowest may be zero, depending on your insurance coverage. And if there's no insurance coverage, and if it's cash price, it's $199 for two.
Fantastic, fantastic. Um, is there actually, just more from the scientific point of view, is there a challenge, any problem known in the literature and in medicine of overactivating the adrenergic receptor? One of the things that I was thinking as I was looking at the data, right? One thing is the time to get to the maximum concentration or Cmax, but also the trough levels. How much drug do you have? And there's some cases where you see NEFFY staying, having longer trough levels, having higher amounts of drugs in system for a longer period of time. Has there been any documentation in the past about overactivation of adrenergic receptor, and what are the implications of that?
So first of all, the amount of epinephrine level that we discussed, the data we discussed, is similar to the endogenous epinephrine level that you would be exposed by doing like exercise. And for example, if you do public speaking like this, the endogenous level, so there's a right, and you create in epinephrine by yourself. When you get nervous, like I am now, then it's gonna be 400 picogram. 400, the level can be 400, which is similar to the peak that we observe in the figure. So the amount of epinephrine that is given by not just NEFFY, but auto injector, are the similar level within the endogenous level. Of course, if the epinephrine may have, because it's increased the blood pressure, in general, it could cause short-term headache or jittery feeling that is common for epinephrine drug. That can happen, but should be tentative, transient, because it's an increase in decrease.
Thank you. Thank you. That makes sense. So let's think, maybe this is not something that you would do, but think in the extreme. Can someone do 5 doses of NEFFY if needed?
I don't think so. I mean, it's not at least recommended in the FDA's and also guideline. I think that basically after 2 doses, you might want to go to hospital. And then it used to, in the guideline, it used to say that third epinephrine doses should be done under the supervision. But yeah, but that, again, you may want to discuss with your prescriber how to deal with those your symptoms.
We have 1 minute left, so I'll take the last question as what's next for you and ARS now that this product is approved? What's next?
So I think we have a few initiative that we want to help the society. First, we want to try to help educate the people, because early epinephrine is important to prevent from the symptom going bad. So that's one thing. And another thing is that we really want to make sure that NEFFY is available. So I apologize if there's some difficulty getting dispensed, but we are really working hard. And then we really want the NEFFY, I personally really want NEFFY to help people serve the society, and that's what we are trying to do.
Excellent. Sarina, exactly 45 minutes. So thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you so much for answering a lot of the questions that the audience have. That's the main purpose of this discussion, for people to ask the hard questions, so that then the science-based information can be disseminated to empower people to make their own decision or talk to their doctor. So really appreciate it for being here. A pleasure to have you, and looking forward to continue to be in touch.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much for
everyone.
having me. Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for joining.